Hannah Wilson's trembling fingers froze midair the moment her eyes caught the necklace. For a split second, the grand living room of her Connecticut estate, the marble floors, the quiet ticking clock, the soft morning light, ceased to exist. All Hannah could see was the delicate gold chain resting against the dark skin of the young black maid standing before her. A chain she hadn't seen in over 40 years. A chain she had buried with her past, her shame, and a name she never spoke aloud. Hey, my wonderful family and friends. I'm so excited to share today's story with you, and I'm thrilled to have you along for the ride. Your support means the world, and I can't wait to keep bringing you more amazing stories. If you're ready to dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. I love connecting with all of you. Tiffany, Hannah whispered, her voice breaking in a way it never did. Not in boardrooms, not at charity galas, not even at her husband's funeral. The old woman's knees buckled. Tears streamed down her wrinkled face as she reached out, not like a wealthy employer, but like a mother grasping at a ghost. Tiffany Walker didn't understand why the millionaire grandmother suddenly collapsed into sobs and pulled her into a desperate hug. She only knew that something heavy had just surfaced. Something long hidden. Something unfinished. Hannah Wilson had built her life on control. At 78, she was known across New England as a philanthropist, a business matriarch, a woman who turned grief into fortune and discipline into legacy. But peace had never lived inside Hannah, only routine. Tiffany Walker had been part of that routine for just 6 months. 24 years old, soft-spoken, always early, always careful not to take up space. She cleaned, served tea, and spoke only when spoken to. To Hannah, she was invisible, until the necklace. Now, hours after that sudden embrace, the air between them felt fragile. I'm sorry, Hannah said quietly, her voice stripped of authority. I shouldn't have reacted that way. Tiffany stood near the doorway, hands clasped. It's okay, ma'am. Hannah's eyes drifted back to the necklace. A small gold locket shaped like a teardrop. Where did you get it? She asked. Tiffany hesitated. It belonged to my grandmother. She gave it to me before she passed. Said it was important. Important. The word hit Hannah like a quiet punch. Because once, long before the money, before the mansion, before the name Wilson, Hannah had known another woman. A black woman. A housekeeper, too. Her name was Ruth Walker. And Ruth had owned that necklace. Hannah swallowed hard. Did your grandmother ever talk about her youth? Tiffany nodded slowly. She used to say she loved someone she couldn't keep. That the world wasn't ready. The room went still. Hannah's hands began to shake again. Because Ruth hadn't just been someone she loved. She had been the woman Hannah abandoned. And that necklace was proof. That night, Hannah couldn't sleep. Memories clawed their way back. 1950s Georgia. A white girl from a modest family. A black woman working in the same house. Late night whispers. Stolen laughter. A love that had no language, no safety, no future. And one terrible decision. Hannah had left. She married a man her parents approved of. Moved north. Changed her accent. Changed her life. And when Ruth wrote letters, begging, explaining, revealing the pregnancy, Hannah burned them all. All except one thing. The necklace. She had given it to Ruth as a promise she never kept. The next morning, Hannah asked Tiffany to sit with her. I need to tell you something, she said, her eyes wet but steady. And after I do, you may never want to look at me the same way again. Tiffany listened as the truth unfolded. Slow, painful, honest. About Ruth. About love. About fear. About a child Hannah never met. Silence filled the space when Hannah finished. Tiffany's breath caught. My grandmother. She raised my mother alone, she whispered. She never spoke with bitterness. Just sadness. Hannah broke down. I was a coward, she said, and I've carried that guilt longer than I've carried my fortune. There are moments in life where stories stop being entertainment and start becoming mirrors. Moments where we're asked quietly to decide what kind of people we want to be when truth finally sits in front of us. Tiffany stood, walked around the desk, and did something neither of them expected. She hugged Hannah back. Tiffany examined the locket closely that night. Inside, a faded photograph and a small inscription. To my love, always. And then came a letter, tucked carefully behind the photo. A letter Hannah had never burned. As Tiffany read, Hannah watched nervously. The letter revealed Ruth's life after Hannah left, the struggles as a single mother, the love she never forgot, and most heartbreakingly, a message of forgiveness directed at Hannah herself. Hannah's breath caught. Ruth had carried no hatred, only hope, and now that hope had travelled through generations to Tiffany. It's yours now, Tiffany whispered. Your past. Your grandmother's past. It's safe here. Hannah's eyes welled with tears. Do you understand? The guilt I've carried? The life I denied? Tiffany nodded slowly. I think I do. And yet, you're here now. You're facing it. Have you ever held a secret guilt so long it defined you? Consider subscribing and following this story to see how confronting the truth can transform lives, sometimes in ways we never expect. Then came the call that changed everything. Hannah's lawyer contacted her, voice shaking. A distant cousin of Ruth's had discovered documents proving that Hannah's first child, a daughter named Clara, had survived and built a family of her own. Tiffany was Hannah's daughter's distant cousin. They were linked. Blood and history intertwined through love, absence, and a small golden locket. Hannah staggered back. It can't be. Tiffany placed a hand on Hannah's shoulder. It's real. Your choices. They shape generations. For the first time in her life, Hannah Wilson felt powerless. The mansion's grand halls now echoed with a silence so heavy it pressed against her chest. She sat alone, the walls lined with portraits of family she had long neglected. Her mind replayed every choice, every letter she burned, every stolen night of love she denied herself. The guilt was suffocating. Tears streamed unchecked as she whispered into the empty room, I was wrong. So wrong. Morning light spilled through the tall windows, touching Hannah's tear-stained face. And with the sun came clarity. She remembered Ruth's words from the letter. Forgiveness is the bridge between what was lost and what can be found. Hannah walked to Tiffany's room. She didn't knock. She didn't pause. Tiffany, she began, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. I've lived with regret my whole life. But today, I want to choose differently. Will you let me try? Will you let me be part of your life, even a little? Tiffany looked up, her eyes shimmering with tears. She saw not just the millionaire grandmother, but a woman unburdening herself of shame, of loss, of fear. Slowly, she nodded. Hannah placed the locket back around Tiffany's neck. It belongs to you, she said softly, but it also belongs to all of us, because it carries our story, our family story, and I want to honor it, together. The moment arrived like a quiet storm. Hannah and Tiffany stood together in the sunlit living room, the air thick with anticipation and the weight of decades past. Hannah's voice trembled but carried strength. Tiffany, Clara, the daughter I never met. She's still alive. She has a family, and they are connected to you. Tiffany's eyes widened. You mean we're family? Hannah nodded, tears spilling freely. Yes, the choices I made weren't because I didn't love. They were born from fear. But I've carried this guilt for too long. I want to make it right. Tiffany felt her own emotions surge. Anger, grief, disbelief. But beneath it all, understanding took hold. She stepped closer, placing her hands over Hannah's. "I forgive you," she whispered. "Not for you, but for me. And for her. For our family." The weight of decades lifted from Hannah's shoulders. She hugged Tiffany tightly, not as an employer, but as a woman who had finally embraced her humanity. The locket gleamed in the sunlight, a symbol of lost time recovered, love remembered, and bonds reforged. The mansion no longer felt like a fortress, but like a home. And in that hug, the past and present collided, healing old wounds in ways neither could have predicted. Weeks later, Hannah and Tiffany hosted a quiet tea in the sunroom. Clara, Hannah's daughter, had arrived with her own children, and for the first time, the mansion was alive with laughter, tears, and stories shared across generations. Hannah looked around the room, her heart full. She had faced the shadow of her past and emerged with something more precious than wealth: connection, love, and redemption. Tiffany, wearing the locket proudly, smiled at Hannah. "Thank you for trusting me. For trusting us." Hannah squeezed her hand gently. "No, Tiffany. Thank you. For showing me that even the deepest guilt can lead to the brightest hope." As they watched the children play by the window, Hannah realized something profound. Life was never about perfection. It was about courage, forgiveness, and the willingness to embrace the truth, no matter how painful. Sometimes, the hardest truths carry the greatest blessings. If this story moved you, consider subscribing to witness how love, forgiveness, and courage can reshape generations. Let it remind you that it's never too late to make things right. And as the sun set over the Connecticut estate, Hannah, Tiffany, and Clara stood together, a family finally whole. The necklace glimmered softly in Tiffany's hands, a silent promise of past pain transformed into present grace and a future filled with hope. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you enjoyed the story. There are plenty more amazing stories coming your way, so don't stop here. Just click on the video showing on your screen and keep watching. I'll see you there.